Welcome everybody to week 39 of DCA. I almost forgot what our name was. Um, we are joined back together, Steven and Colin, to talk about our buys from the last couple of weeks. Um, I didn't do anything crazy. I bought one new thing, and that's about it. But how about you start and talk about what your last couple of weeks look like, Steven?
Sure. Yeah. So last few weeks, I think this is weeks 35 through 39. And yeah, basically the big thing that's happened over the last while here is started to see stocks bounce back a decent amount here. So the indices are back up a lot. Crypto is back up a lot. But yeah, basically we've gone down or gone up from almost 10% down to 5.5% down over the last few weeks here. So yeah, things seem to be rallying a little bit. Um, Canadian government only hiked the interest rate uh, 0.5% this time around, which is smaller than the 0.75% that we've seen the last few times. So maybe consumer confidence is bouncing back a little. That might help explain it a little bit. Yeah. In terms of my actual buys, yeah, largely just focused on lots of indices, shares being purchased, a little bit of crypto, and a little bit of tech. Um, One clean energy share. I did add one new one. This is ZGen here, ZGen. Yeah, my healthcare was lagging. Um, Before this buy that I did here. Um, so I wanted to add a bit back into it to start getting it back into range here. Um, so yeah, this is the one that I bought. It's the BMO Genomic Innovation Index ETF. So still kind of in that healthcare sector, but more focused on maybe a bit of uh, higher growth prospect aspect of that industry. Yeah, lots of shares primarily in like pharmaceutical companies or companies that are doing a lot of genomic research, I guess. So yeah, so wanted a bit of a different kind of exposure from the other one, which had some pharmaceuticals, but then um, stuff like Johnson and Johnson, and I think yeah, I can't remember offhand what else is in that one, but yeah, wanted a bit of exposure to that kind of flashier part of the industry, I guess. So added that in there, and yeah, down about 5.5% here.
Nice. Awesome. Uh, I actually have very little pharmaceutical exposure, so that's something I plan to go into a little bit later. Uh, okay, awesome. And you're only down like 200 something bucks, which is really good. That's a really good recovery. Um, I'm still down quite a bit. Okay, so I'm down. We're at 4,800, so a little over 300 bucks. Did I do my math right? Yeah, down a little bit over 300 or 340, something like that. Um, I bought mostly ETFs and some bank stocks, so nothing too exciting. So the only new stock I bought in the last couple of weeks is Amazon, and I was able to afford one share because they had a 20-to-1 split in March of this year. Um, as you can see, looking at the 5 year, even with the fall from like 185, I think that's the top. They're still up 84% in the last 5 years, which is around 17%. So if you measured it at the top, that's crazy returns. Um, I they might still fall a little bit more, but I think given where they are at now, it was a decent pickup. And moving forward, I think I'll keep picking up Amazon. Who do you think could take them on realistically?
Yeah, I think from the retail perspective of selling goods online as kind of an e-commerce, like from the e-commerce perspective, they're probably pretty saturated, and I don't know if there's a lot more they could capitalize on. Maybe by doing more like private label deals to become an online retailer for known brands or stuff like that. That's maybe an opportunity, but yeah, I feel like they're pretty saturated. But a huge part of Amazon's business is AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. And that
Yes.
part of their business is growing a lot. And I feel like, um, yeah, like that's probably a trend that's going to continue. I'm looking at one graphic that says AWS made up 16% of their revenue, net sales last quarter, which grew 2% from the year before. So, like, I guess compared to like third party seller services was 22.5%. So, like, the cloud computing side of their business is growing a lot relative to the other parts of their business.
Yeah. That's
So I feel like that's probably the growth or like the value proposition for AWS or for Amazon right now.
mm-hmm.
Like in addition to having kind of market saturation in that online retail space, also yeah, like growing significantly on that kind of more tech focused side of the business,
Yeah.
and also obviously the huge amount of money from the very well received Lord of the Rings series.
uh, what was it? Are they still? Do they still hold the top for most expensive show or something like that?
Yeah, it was like over. They committed to spending like over $1 billion on the show or something.
Oh, jeez. I remember. Yeah, I remember something like that, and I remember most of it was front loaded in the first season because they had to set a lot of stuff up. So the future seasons will cost less, but even then, that's crazy. Um, I started watching it. I think it's okay. This is gonna turn into a Rings of Power podcast from now on. Uh, I don't know if you watch it separately from the movies. I think it's okay, but
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought like people walked into it wanting Game of Thrones, which is not what it is.
yeah, no, no,
Like it's much more like fantasy and less like personal drama, I would say,
mm-hmm.
than than Game of Thrones. But
Yeah,
anyways,
exactly. And speaking of which, House of the Dragon is we really enjoy it. But yeah, no, that's yeah, that's that's I agree. I think cloud computing is uh their major growth area because I think internationally they've hit some roadblocks, right? The big markets are like India and China, and they both have their local alternatives to Amazon,
yeah,
and they're quite ingrained in, and it'll be hard to crack those regions. But yeah,
yeah. Alibaba in China and what's the Indian equivalent?
anyways, yeah, doesn't matter. Uh, let's leave it there. That's where we are at for week 39. Um, I always make these promises that I can't keep, saying that we'll come back in like 2 weeks, but we'll try our best. We'll try our best, especially if something goes crazy in the market, which I doubt will happen, especially with the expected interest rate rises. But that means we only have 13 more weeks, so our little experiment will come to an end pretty soon. But I don't know. I think for prediction purposes, I think we'll still end the we'll definitely end the year down. At least I will. Uh, but I don't know. I feel like if you were to extrapolate another year, I'm optimistic that we would be back in the green. But
Well, I've got
that's
some pretty decent European exposure, and maybe this prime minister will actually last, and all my European stocks will go up.
there you go. There you go. Let's hope it's not another Liz Truss. Is that her name? It doesn't matter. It's across the pond. But yeah, no, that's a good point. Okay, that'll do it for this week. We'll see you guys soon.